Wake up, everybody. This is the NFTP podcast, Diablo cast, Impressions cast. We just got off of streaming, about an hour and a half? Is that about right?
Yep.
Of Diablo 2 Resurrected open beta. Ends in about 12 hours. So if you're listening to this, watching this, too late. You'll have to wait a month to play it. But we played it and we all enjoyed it, I think. Most of us liked it. Some of us loved it. I know I did. Real quick, Greg, probably our most veteran Diablo 2 player. How'd you like it?
I can't put it down. I'm actually still playing.
Oh, that's good. Robert, probably our most noobish or unfamiliar Diablo 2 player. How'd you like it?
I must say it checked off all the right boxes for me.
Excellent. And Jason?
Yeah, I'm gonna pre-order it after the stream. It's so good. It seems every bit worth the $40 that they're charging for this. They gave a lot of care. You could tell.
Yep. So yeah, like right off the bat, the full from the ground remake, aesthetically, graphically, they're doing as much as they can to keep the bones of this game in place. And they've said that. If you've been following this at all, you know that. But if you've played D2 at all at any point in the last 20, 25 years, this game you'll be slotting right back in, and that's what it felt like to me, except now it looks amazing. It looks like you remember it. It looks like you always wanted to look, those kinds of things, with some small niceties like auto gold pickup, a few UI options and whatnot. But otherwise, like, it is just more of what I consider at least a perfect game. Like if you like hack and slash action RPGs with lots of loot and thousands of hours potentially to sink into. We didn't get to play, unfortunately, some of our favorite classes. Assassin and Necromancer were unavailable, but presumably they'll be back at launch. I played a little bit of Paladin, a little bit of Sorceress, and I enjoyed myself. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to...
So here's the important things. They didn't touch the game. I mean, they really, we touched on that, but they really followed through on keeping the game exactly what it is and what it's supposed to be. So if you loved it before, it's a great nostalgia trip. You're going to love it again. If you've heard whatever sick reason didn't love it before, you're not going to love it now. I'll say if you're a totally new person to Diablo, I do think there's some modern things in gaming that, this isn't a modern game. And you have to go into it at least with that open mind. Like, nostalgia covers that up for me. But Robert, I'm super interested to hear what you think about that. Like, did you feel like there was some niceties that didn't exist because it's a 20-something-year-old game?
Yeah, I did notice just some random, and I would say quote unquote quality of life improvements that have been made over the years weren't in that. But that being said, like, we're not talking about like unplayable. We're just talking about like the difference between a 2021 game versus a beautiful nostalgic remake. So
even some things that are like so simple and straightforward, like guides on where to walk. It was funny. We all have the first act memorized, and you were kind of like, wait, where am I walking and stuff?
I ran everywhere. Yeah,
you just run wild. And it actually kind of made me happy because it was like this realization that new games have gotten so good at those little cues that like naturally guiding you down the path that it all feels formulaic and like frankly fake. And playing this and like, I haven't memorized, but it's a great reminder that real adventure can be frustrating. And that's okay. And sometimes you don't know where to go and you get lost for 20 minutes. And that's okay. It's a real adventure. And God, I love this game so much.
I gotta say, I'm real impressed. You took a life lesson out of this Diablo 2 remake. I gotta say,
Darkwood, Black Marsh, who knows?
Let me ask you this: in terms of like we talked quality of life improvements. This is a question for Greg. Prior to release, prior to beta, I don't think anyone had really had their hands on this. One of the things that we learned is there could have been some issue with aspect ratio and how much of the screen that they show with regard to cast radius and those sorts of things. So talk to me about, like, do you know anything about what the developers had to do to mitigate those concerns?
So I'm playing on an ultra wide monitor, and they put basically like a fog It's not like a hard box. It looks kind of nice, but they basically fogged out the edges to where you can only see as much as you would have been able to see before. So that is super important for PvP, but super, you would think, frustrating if you're playing by yourself where that doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, I'm glad they took a protectionist stance. Like, protect PvP, protect what the game is supposed to be. Don't ruin all that just for ultra wide monitors. Hey, guess what? If you want to play with this ultra wide monitor, you can't. It's not the end of the world.
Is anybody going to try to? Is anybody going to double dip? I plan on double dipping as long as this, because it's coming to Switch too. It's coming to everything, every console, and then obviously PC as well. And no cross play, but cross progression. And I tested the progression out because I already had my account linked on my PlayStation account. It's just my sorceress was already there. She's right there, ready to go. Level 12 still. It was awesome to just jump in, kill like 6 things, and then jump back to PC, like, and have, you know, the one thing I might have picked up in my inventory. But yeah, if the Switch version works, because the controls are good, but if the performance is fine, I'm gonna sink in the next like 10 years,
So,
as long as the Switch lasts.
Over the course of my life, I've bought 8 copies of Diablo 2, and I am ready for number 9 and number 10.
Round it out. It's out. That's good. That's good.
Maybe even 11 on the PlayStation 4 or 5 or whatever it may be.
What about you, Jason?
I could see myself double dipping, but not like immediately. I think I would, especially, and here's the thing that I think we're not considering. If I buy a Steam Deck, there's no reason for me to purchase this on the Switch and PC.
Well, you would have to go out of your way. The Steam Deck, it's not going to be on Steam. You're going to have to load Windows, and not that you can't or won't, but it won't be day one something you can do if you wanted to.
That's a good point.
Great call out. So, Karch, you mentioned that it felt good and played good on a controller. I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around that. So talk me through that. What was that like?
I mean, you move with the stick, and then there are 4 to 6 abilities all mapped to buttons, you know, like X, circle, L1,
so
L,
what
arch
you would
1.
have been putting on your F1, 2, 3, 4,
yeah.
you're binding to triangle, square, whatever.
Right, and you could press another button that would swap that bar out with another one. So like I would hold L2, and then those 4 skills would become 4 completely different skills. So basically you're looking at anywhere between like 8 and 10 skills you could have at the drop of a hat. Which is how D3 works, if I'm not mistaken. I've never actually played D3 on a controller, but I'm pretty sure that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Picking stuff up was just a matter of walking up like right next to that item and then clicking on it. I don't know if I was walking up to the actual item model or if I was walking up to the label, but it seemed intuitive. I remember just walking up and thinking, like, if I click this button, it'll pick it up, and it did the way I was expecting it to.
So it's great that they got the movement right there, because I remember at one point in time I tried to bind buttons on a Xbox controller to play Diablo with a controller like 10 years ago, and it was awful because the movement just never felt right. But if they nailed that, there's really no reason that shouldn't work great. So that's exciting.
Yeah, don't play this competitively, or if you're trying to like beat out people in a ball run to get the items and stuff, because you're never gonna catch them on console. Like I cannot imagine playing this without friends or just single player on console. But again, the cross play or the cross progression is going to be worth the extra $40 down the line to keep me playing this game, because I just don't love my PC. I will eventually drift away from it. After the new coat of paint wears off, basically, and the funness and the other games come out that I want to play at the end of the year.
And that was maybe one of the last things for the people out there. If you don't have a phenomenal laptop, if you're running this in the classic view mode, so like you can toggle between the old graphics and the new graphics, looking at like the frame rates my laptop's getting and stuff, it seems like when you're running it in the old mode, it is using like very little horsepower on your machine. And like, I think you could run this thing on a potato if you wanted to play with the old dirty graphics. Just something that might matter to some people out there.
Can anybody here who remembers them, you're going to be able to go back to the dirty graphics? Like I have the original version of Diablo. Not that I would ever need to, but could you go back now after what you've seen?
No.
It's like what we said at the beginning here. They made it look like how I remember it looking, and so I can't go back.
It's definitive. I think it's going to be safe to say outside of some people who, like Greg, not necessarily Greg himself, but people who lived and breathed this game, and maybe even to this day still do, they might have some qualms and say, no, I don't like it. But like, in my opinion, for the 99%, this is going to be the definitive version of this game going forward forever.
And the best part is the trade market is going to be back and alive. There's going to be people playing, and like that boost of life coming back into this game is so exciting. Like the real reason I really, really quit this game at the very end of I would never come back is it was like, there's no one else to love it with me. The community got so small. The JSP forums died so far down. And now that's out the window, full steam ahead, D2 for life.
Last point before anybody else's last points. Sure, like you said, it's a fresh start. The game, everybody's going to be coming in on the first foot. Nobody's got items. Nobody's hacked into it yet. There's not going to be 1,000 bots. That'll come with time, I imagine. It always does. But the game has kind of been solved. There's no mystery left anymore. All the builds, all the best everything. Everybody knows everything there is to know about this game. Does that like affect the way that you'll enjoy this at all?
So, Kurt, here's the craziest thing about it. I put thousands of hours into this game, and I thought I knew everything about it. The way we like min-max games these days is so different than then. Even the people like me who know everything, going on the Reddit forums and seeing all these people talk about their niche that they super know a lot about, and I could talk to mine and all these different ones. This game has so much in it. You can play it for a lifetime and still have missed so much. This is one of the rare games where I don't think that'll really be a problem.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot about this game, but I've experienced very little of it. And so I look forward to taking that knowledge and actually applying it for a change again, because I've just always been so divorced from my PC. I just get bored playing on it after 20 hours, and I'm like, I can't even get to the end of normal, let alone Nightmare in Hell and further on to Uber stuff. But I'm excited for it. So any last thoughts from anybody?
All I gotta say is I love it. Love it.
Yes. I'm seriously gonna pre-order. All I was going to say is that just as a closing thought, I love that they kept the interface for joining games the same. It looked like we could have gone in there and like just picked a random game and gone in and just like started talking to people, which would have been amazing. And anyway, I love how pristine it is. I love how intact it is. I love how accurate it feels and faithful to the original.
It's gonna be great. 1 month away. We'll be there with bells on. All right. Thanks for listening. Tell us if you played, what you thought about it, comments, etc. Like, share, subscribe. Bye.
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 That's the sign.
Goodbye.
Bye.
That's the sign off. Bye. That's my sign off when I do Let's Plays.